Wife of 20 years cheated. I found out my wife was having an emotional affair with one of our oldest friends and found the revealing texts and intimate plans they made together. Now I'm torn apart, trying to figure out if our marriage can ever recover or if I'll ever be able to trust her again. I'm Taleb, 48 male, and this past January I hit the 20-year mark of marriage with my wife, Emily, 43 female. If you knew my history, you'd get why trust, stability, and safety matter more to me than anything. Childhood was a violent, alcoholic hell. Meeting Emily, both of us working at the same restaurant. I was manager, she was an employee, seemed like the start of something real. She'd lost her parents in a car crash as a toddler, raised by her uncle. And she carried massive abandonment issues and intense emotions, sometimes even rage. But over most of our 20 years, I helped her find moments of peace and happiness. Funny thing is, I didn't make a move in the beginning. I figured being her manager, it'd be wrong. She'd visit me at my bartending job, always flirt. For weeks, I brushed off her advances, told her gently no. Then, one night, she just marched up, jumped on me, and we started making out. I didn't turn her down then. Who would? Here was this vibrant, gorgeous woman who made me feel wanted again, especially after the disaster of my previous 5-year marriage and while raising a young daughter on my own. After that night together, I told Emily she'd need to quit at the restaurant if we were going to be together. She gave her notice right away and basically moved in with me. We were together almost every day. I ended things with anyone else I'd been seeing and even turned down an old flame who showed up at my job, bold as brass, wanting to sleep together. I told her, I'm committed to someone now, and that was that. Emily and I weren't perfect at first. There were the usual dumb young people games, nights out, jealousy, drama. One night, after she went out with friends and didn't come home, I went to her apartment, packed up her stuff, and put it on the doorstep. I waited for her, saw her get dropped off outside, and she froze seeing all her boxes, tears rolling down her face. I opened the door and said, I'm not playing games. If you want this to work, you have to love my daughter and take care of me, and I'll always do the same for you. If you're in, come inside. She chose to, and we've been together ever since. First couple years married, I wasn't the man I should have been. I got 2 DUIs and cheated 4 or 5 times. Emily never knew about my affairs. After the last DUI, she told me, I love you, but if this happens again, I'll have to leave. That was my wake-up call. I cut the bullshit, stopped drinking and messing around, and became fully committed. Spent years working my way up in management, moving for jobs, sometimes having to commute hours just so Emily could be back in our hometown with our baby. 7 years of tough commutes. Also, my family felt safe. Eventually, I scored a big management role back home, then moved even further up to co-owning businesses. After 15 years, we were doing great. Financially stable, family good, Emily wanting to go back to school. I was working too much, barely had energy, and that work grind killed something inside me. Our sex life dried up, just a few times a year, while Emily needed so much more. I was empty, depressed, a shell. Emily started hanging out more with friends from our long-standing group. I let her, trusting everyone since I'd known them for decades. Looking back, I know how stupid that sounds. A year ago, I realized my job was destroying me. I clashed constantly with my partners, stopped speaking to most people at work. I looked at my life and saw I'd become nothing more than a paycheck, existing only to give comfort and structure, but totally dead inside. Sure, we had good family times, but I was gone. I decided once Emily finished school, I'd make a change for me. But while I was stuck in limbo, Emily started building a new life quietly. One of our old friends, Jake, 49 male, held her hand during a group hangout, and it led to an emotional affair that lasted a year. I felt something off when she'd go out, but I ignored it. I was too numb to bear new pain. Emily grew distant, but I didn't have the heart to push. Then came COVID. We were locked down together. Emily thought it could re-spark our marriage, but I was still closed off. By June, she decided to leave once she finished her program, but didn't tell me. She needed my support till graduation, I guess. She had to start making plans for her next life. 3 weeks before her licensing boards, Emily mentioned taking a great job on the coast, 2 hours away. Said there weren't any hometown gigs, that this paid well, and she could start immediately. She had an interview the next day. As we argued, I realized this wasn't really about a job. It was about her leaving. I confronted her, saying she didn't need to feel guilty and I'd be fine, but I just wanted to know her decision so I could move on. Once she left for work, I started investigating. I got into her computer, found drafts of letters to Jake from the past year, found her devices had stopped syncing a year ago. I pieced more together until I found Jake's name, and it all clicked. Surprisingly, I wasn't all that shocked. It made sense. I set up counseling for us via Zoom. Emily and I had seen this therapist on and off for 15 years, and honestly, she's the reason we made it this long. On the day of Emily's solo session, I was out driving, screaming at the fields in total breakdown. I felt like I'd driven her away. All that guilt and self-hate led me to thinking of ending my life, driving my truck into a wall at 100 miles per hour. But as I started calming down, Emily called me. I didn't answer. In the session, our therapist mentioned Jake's name, and Emily freaked. She hadn't told anyone about the affair, so how did the therapist know? She checked my iPad, found the files I'd dug out. Emily called, panicking. Here's the kicker. She was scared for Jake, not herself or us. She begged me not to contact him, said it wasn't his fault. She forgot he'd been my friend for 20 years too. His betrayal stung just as much. From there started the cycle. Emily and I would talk, settle, agree to try fixing things, but always end up circling the same wound. We started individual counseling. Our therapist warned me. Emily would have a hard time getting over Jake because their emotional bond was so strong, and I hadn't been emotionally present for years. I'd worked myself to the bone to support the family, but in her eyes, she'd been left alone in the marriage. That guilt nearly destroyed me. I struggled with trust. I wanted to check her devices, see if she was still talking to Jake. The cheating books said cheaters should offer up access to rebuild trust, but I hated asking for that. Still, I tiptoed around the topic because I was terrified to lose Emily after 20 years. I felt powerless, walking on eggshells. We did reconnect physically. In those first weeks after discovery, we had more sex than we'd had in years, 3 or 4 times a day sometimes. But between those highs, everything was agony. A few weeks in, I couldn't resist anymore and messaged Jake. I told him I knew about the affair, explained I understood how it happened, and wanted the 3 of us to figure out how to move forward. Our whole friend group was entwined, and I didn't want awkwardness forever. The next day, Emily texted, "Did you talk to Jake?" I lied, "No," and she instantly shot back, "Don't lie to me." Turns out, Jake had stopped responding to her. She figured I'd spooked him. I admitted I'd messaged him, but said it was about wanting closure between Jake and me, not her and him. Emily exploded in anger, stormed out to see Jake. She was back in 5 minutes because he wouldn't see her. She was frantic all night, texting him with no reply. We talked when she got home, made love, and she begged me not to contact Jake again. I agreed, but inside I was still a wreck. The days became torture, watching Emily constantly, waiting for clues, reading into every tone and glance. We started going on trips out of town, which helped us escape Jake's shadow. We tried piecing back our marriage, but my trust never returned. 4 weeks later, it unraveled again. At Lowe's, I saw a secretive alert pop up on her phone. She hid the screen, punched in her code. I knew she was still hiding things. I messaged Jake again to meet, not telling Emily until I was about to leave for it. Her face darkened. She threatened, "I won't be here when you get back." I almost stayed, but I needed closure. I told her, again, it was mostly about Jake's and my friendship. Met Jake at a restaurant, had a few shots. He admitted he'd gone too far with Emily's attention, said he was depressed, and the emotional affair helped him through a bad breakup. When I mentioned the suggestive photos, he looked ashamed, admitted it was wrong. After an hour, I went home. Emily wasn't there, out drinking, blowing off steam. She got home at 1 a.m., woke me up, and grilled me on what Jake and I said. I told her nothing was really about her, just trying to decide what to do going forward. We talked, had sex, fell asleep. All this back and forth, from physical intimacy to emotional devastation, wore me down. In therapy, our counselor said Emily couldn't truly move past Jake unless she cut all ties, and I needed access to rebuild trust. I mentioned this to Emily. She said, "I'll give you the code if you want." But she didn't just offer it up. She was bluffing, and I knew it, but I was too weak to push. In our next session, the therapist called me a doormat, said I had to set boundaries. If Emily wouldn't cut Jake off and let me see her phone, we'd never last. So Emily and I drove out to the coast for her new job, a ride and mini vacation before I'd go home for work. For 3 weeks we'd done this, and I wanted the boundaries clear. The night before, I'd rehearsed what I'd say. Emily sort of agreed to block Jake, but I wasn't sure. At dinner, I pressed for phone access and confirmation Jake was deleted from all social media. She handed me her phone, reluctantly, gave me her code. When I asked if Jake was deleted from Snapchat, she said I unfriended him. I pushed, "That's not the same." She shrugged it off. I should have checked myself, but again, I backed down, not wanting to spoil the night. We went back to the hotel, Emily turning in early for her shift. I packed my stuff, ready to leave if things went bad overnight. At 3 a.m., I grabbed her phone and locked myself in the bathroom, opened Snapchat, and immediately saw a new message from Jake. They'd been messaging all night while I was lying in bed beside her. I snapped photos of everything, chats, pics, even messages Emily'd sent confiding in friends. Done, I put everything back, got dressed, and took off. At 7 a.m., Emily texted, "Where are you?" I just replied with a screenshot of her chat with Jake. Instantly, she started panicking. All her bravado vanished. She begged for another chance, apologized, swore she'd delete Snapchat and give me full access. She insisted I was the only one she loved, promised anything to keep us together. I told her we'd talk when she got home Friday. 6 weeks have passed. Emily did delete Snapchat and things are mostly okay. Feels like a last shot at the marriage we always wanted, but the doubts never fully leave me. I catch myself watching her on her phone, checking if she hides anything when I walk in. The day I caught her, I told Jake to screw off for good, told him he was destroying my marriage, and he ghosted Emily. Only after he sent her a mean message brushing her off, hoping she'd finally stop contacting him. I showed Emily his text. She was crushed. Oddly, it was cathartic for both of us. Maybe now she realizes where she really stands. So here's my question. Is there any hope? Can we get past this? I want to move into our twilight years together, but I don't know if we can. The doubt sticks. Part of me fears waking up one day and finding Emily gone, and sometimes I wonder if I'll be the one who leaves. I just want to figure out if rebuilding this love is even possible. That wraps up the whole story. It's clear that trust, built through years of hardship, can shatter in a few moments and is never easily put back together. Both partners have to do the difficult work to heal, and there are no guarantees it'll ever feel the same again. What do you think? What would you do if you discovered years-long betrayal from someone you love most? Could you ever truly trust them again?